Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining me again. My name is Swardik Mayanja, and this is the Mayanja Accredited News Network. We are on another episode of my Everyday Hero interview series, where I interview someone in your life or someone in my life that makes us smile but does not get the credit they deserve. Again, I get the pleasure of interviewing a CrossFit coach.
There is no justice when so few have so much and so many have so little.
Coach Rick, thank you very much for joining me.
You're welcome.
I truly
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. So, like I do every time, who are you and why CrossFit?
So, Rick Callahan, and why CrossFit? Can I do a little background, I guess?
Please,
where it all comes
please.
from?
Yes.
So, in 2008, 2009, I had lived with my cousin at my house in Watertown. He was interning at the Arsenal, and he was a huge fitness buff, like really into everything, bodybuilding, powerlifting, stuff like that. A few years older than me, so I basically was just tagging along. I wanted to copy him. Everything he did, I thought was like going to work, was going to make me big, strong, and jacked and tan and handsome and all that stuff. So I did pretty much everything he did for a couple summers, and it was fine. I enjoyed going to the gym. I was always kind of a fitness buff. I always liked sports. But after like those couple summers that went by where I was like, this is fine, but like it's kind of boring. It's not quite for me anymore. I don't know what to do. And he was a little more tuned in with the fitness world and was like, hey, I don't quite do this thing, but I've heard of this CrossFit thing. You should like look it up and see if it's for you. Yeah. And so this is in 2009 or so it wasn't really like at the ESPN level. Like, people hadn't really heard of it, so it was pretty new. I searched it, and there happened to be a gym in Watertown. I was like, I'll go give this a shot, talked it through. And I was convinced I was just gonna do this like a couple times a week maybe, still play basketball, still do my little, like my bicep curls and whatever else I was doing.
You gotta get them curls in.
Sure. I was convinced I was gonna do this once in a while for fun. Yes. And the more it went along, I started up, I got much more into it. It was like, it was almost like, a bright light shone. I was like, this makes much more sense. This is only an hour a day. I really enjoy this. I love the people, and kind of went from there. And as for, I don't know if you want me to keep going, but with coaching, I think I had been it was at Forever CrossFit in Watertown, and I was there for like 6 to 8 months or so while just kind of getting up to speed. And one of the main coaches there at the time, Jake McDonald, was doing a tour of duty in Afghanistan. Yes. And he kind of pointed at me and was like, hey, just so you know, like when I go, we're gonna need people to step up and coach at some time, so keep it in the back of your mind. And I was really intrigued by it, so I wanted to kind of get up to that level as well. Okay, so just real brief, because we did. It's gonna be hard for me. I'll try.
Yeah, just real brief. What would you like? Big picture. What is CrossFit?
So definition that the nerds would say would be constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity. For me, it is a very efficient, very widely scalable fitness program that is fun.
Is that helpful? I love it. I absolutely love it. So we're going to uncomplicate CrossFit, because I think one of the biggest things people, even when I talk to people outside of the CrossFit community, they find it to be like a different world of itself. And a lot of it comes from the lingo and the language. So I'm going to try to go through, and there's a few acronyms that we CrossFitters use that people just aren't familiar with.
Sure, it's a whole different jargon. It's like, you feel like when you walk in the first day, it's drinking from a fire hose trying to learn all these acronyms, and you're like, what are these people even talking about? But once you break it down, it is pretty simple, and the intention is simple, but it's a lot to kind of take in all at once.
All right, so most important, WOD. What is a WOD?
WOD, workout of the day. It's pretty much the challenge presented to you. It could be anything. It could be 30 minutes of running, could be 1 rep max deadlift, whatever the workout chosen for that day. WOD.
So WOD is just another way of saying it's the workout.
Yep.
And then we just add of the day, so it's WOD.
Yep.
EMOM. What is EMOM?
EMOM, every minute on the minute, is a style of kind of interval training. Yes. Typically where you present a body of work, whether it's 1 lift, 2 burpees, 100 meters of running, and every minute you start that body of work. And then whatever time is left when you finish, you rest, and then top of the next minute, you're going again.
And then, so EMOM means every minute on the minute. Is that like as much as you can possibly do? How does it?
There's different styles. There are some where it's like every minute on the minute for a 10 minute, and you say, hey, we're doing this for 10 minutes going. Sometimes every minute on the minute until as long as you can last, and once you can't do
The full set.
Yeah, whether it's that number of reps or that challenge of a weight or that amount of like meters of running or rowing or whatever. And once you're done, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
Okay. And then AMRAP.
AMRAP, as many reps as possible or as many rounds as possible, is a style of workout where you give an amount of time, say it's AMRAP 4 minutes, and you say in that 4 minutes, you're gonna try to do as much of something as possible. It could be something simple like 10 push-ups, 10 pull-ups.
Exactly.
And you just kind of go back and forth between the two as much as you can for whatever the time.
Basically the flip of the imam. Right?
Yep.
So you get a specific time and then you're told do as many as possible, whereas the imam is in this set of time you should do this.
I guess they're both kind of time-based, but it's like the imam is like you're starting something new every minute. The AMRAP is like here's the entire body of work. Once the clock starts, you're in it for whatever minutes it is.
All right, this one I actually didn't know for a really long time, and it doesn't come up. It's like a section of a workout during, like it's a type of workout for CrossFit, but we never talk about it. It's never said much. But Metcon.
Metcon is metabolic conditioning, and I think it's pretty much just like the workout. It's like if it gets your heart rate higher, it's conditioning. Typically, it's a higher intensity or an interval or something.
And I don't think that's a CrossFit term. That's like
I think that's everything.
That's an everything term. I just added it in there. All right, so PR or PB?
PR or PB, so it's personal record or personal best.
Yes.
And it's the most you've ever done of something, be it a weight or the fastest you've ever done, like a track run. So you're a track guy, you do like a 400 meter, you used to do it in a minute, and now you do it in 59 seconds, that's a PR.
Exactly. And then, so these two are hero WODs and girl WODs. You please spend a little bit of time on this because it is super interesting and I love these two categories of workouts.
Sure, I'll start with, so the hero WODs are a subset of workouts that CrossFit developed. It was kind of early on, primarily a military or like police force training program. And what they would do is if someone passed away in the line of duty, they would honor them or have a memorial for them by doing a workout and kind of like almost suffering in their name as a way to honor them.
Yes.
And those are typically like much more high caliber, really challenging, longer workouts. And that was just kind of the way they gave back. And I don't know if everyone has like a great way to grieve, but that's as good a way as any, I suppose.
I know, and I mean, these hero WODs are tough. I mean, they're tough as like the hardest workouts I've ever, like, I mean, it's hard.
Yep.
It's just difficult. And then the girl WODs.
The girl WODs, I believe it comes from a Greg Glassman quote where he said if, hurricanes or tornadoes or whatever can have, I think it's hurricanes, can have a name, a girl name that leaves, ruins wherever it goes. If you finish one of the girl WODs, they're kind of like the classic ones. It leaves, there's bodies in the ground, everyone's sweating, panting, whatever it may be.
Yes.
So we saw it as like those leave, quote unquote destruction, just like in a silly kind of joking way.
Yeah, and then like one of the toughest, the hardest ones is the Fran, and that's like I feel like it's definitely, I would say definitely the most popular, but it is. I mean these and the Fran, it's just a workout and there's no time limit, but you do it as fast as you possibly can, and it is devastatingly hard.
Yep.
So do you know it on the top of your head? What is the Fran workout?
So Fran is a descending rep scheme of you do 21 reps, then 15, then 9 of thrusters and pull-ups. So thrusters like a squat to an overhead lift, and pull-ups we know. And I think it's just a really brutal combination of high range of motion, a lot of speed, a lot of movement packed into a really short amount of time, and it just is an ass kicker.
It sure is. I mean, it's painful. So what is a Tabata? What's Tabata?
Tabata is an interval style. I believe it's developed by like a really smart Japanese doctor who was doing like VO2 max and like metabolic conditioning studies, and found that this rubric of 8 rounds of 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off was like the best way to develop like a really good metabolic conditioning state.
Yeah.
And it's 20 seconds of as hard as you can go at something, be it sit-ups, be it squats, whatever it could be. It could be running, actually, anything. And then 10 seconds of rest, and you're just going balls out for 4 minutes.
Yeah, and then it catches up to you real quick.
Real quick.
It comes. Yeah. So I also want to talk RX versus scale. What is RX and what is scale?
Sure. RX is simply like how you get your prescription from CVS, whatever. RX is prescription.
Yes.
And that's the way that a workout is written, is designed to be done in its totality. So if I say the workout was 5 rounds of 5 deadlifts and 10 push-ups, and you would set like a weight recommendation for the deadlift. That would be like the RX version of it.
Yes.
And those are, the way I kind of see the RX one is, it's for like your upper 10% of athletes or so to get a really, really good workout or a really good challenge from that body of work. And then scaling it would be whatever the workout's written as, scaling, or we also say modifying sometimes. Yes. You change something about the workout, be it the number of reps or a shorter time or a lighter weight or like maybe a limited range of motion, something to kind of simplify it for someone who might not be as experienced an athlete, as strong, as conditioned, whatever it may be. So the RX is like the kind of the pinnacle, like what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
But if you're not quite there yet, you're a novice, you're new, whatever it may be, you would do the same prescription of the workout, just modified in some way.
Since we're on this RX versus scale, if someone, when do you as a coach decide or suggest for someone to do the RX? Is it strictly they can lift the weight, do the RX, or is it I want you to do it throughout the, like how do you make that?
It's a really tough, it's very case by case.
Of
in
course,
terms of athlete to athlete. I'd say when you're coaching people, you get to know their patterns, their kind of the ways they move, their tendencies, stuff like that. Most programs at any reputable gym will have an on-ramp or an element style program just to get people kind of a taste of what's going to come on, try to teach them the basics. It's like you have to learn your ABCs before you read War and Peace.
Exactly.
Like kind of the basics like that. So when you're making the decision of should this athlete do this RX, it takes a little bit of trust, but there's always the idea that you can start a workout as RX, so you can start with a given weight or a given number of reps.
Yes.
And if they get partway through and you notice like, their form is degrading, it's not looking good, or they're really slowing down or struggling, you can always strip weight off, you can always change it up. That's kind of the job of the coach, is to recognize midway through if they are not doing it as they should, but that is very, very case by case, I'd say.
Yeah, and it definitely is case by case. And like I know when I started CrossFit, it was like I need to do RX. Like if I'm not doing RX, I'm not doing the right thing, right?
It's like a point of pride, especially people like yourself who were former athletes in other things. I notice this a lot. There's the guys who are like, especially ex-military, ex-athletes. For them, it's like, oh, I should be doing it at the highest level.
Exactly.
Whereas most people that come in that are more of a beginner to anything fitness are like, oh, I want to do it the lowest possible easy way to make sure that I don't die out here. And not that they're going to or anything, but they see it very differently depending on how you come in. And it's kind of an ego check, but it also is up to the coach to help people just respond like, you know what, you are really fit, but this might not be the right weight for you.
Yeah, because you can't be starting out deadlifting 300 pounds. Hey, you got to work your way up.
Yeah, and to my other example, you wouldn't give a first grader War and Peace. You
exactly.
Say, hey, you get to read Dr. Seuss first. Like you have to kind of.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
But I do like that you said you mentioned form when you were talking about are they able to do the RX?
Yep.
Because a big thing with non-CrossFitters is that they see CrossFitters and they see them doing all these swinging things on the bar.
Sure.
And they see us doing handstands and all of this crazy stuff. But specifically with the pull-up, from like a regular pull-up, it's a strict pull-up, to a kipping and then to a butterfly. Explain what that is.
So the strict pull-up is the classic strength building movement where you pull yourself up. Anything that involves the kip and uses the rest of the body is much more to be used as like a conditioning movement. Or it's like if you watch gymnastics on their parallel bars in the Olympics, that's how they get up to the bar to start moving around using their entire body. So I think it's just kind of, they're both actively pulling motions, but for the kip, usually more for going fast and getting a lot of reps in, but using your whole body instead of just your arms. But I think people see it and don't know what it is, and they're like, what is this person waggling around the bar like a Looney Tune for? So it takes some education to learn what's going on, but I totally get that it looks ridiculous to the untrained eye originally, for sure.
And then the butterfly?
Butterfly is kind of like it's a play on the kip that's more of a cyclical motion instead of like an S shape. It's more of like a circle shape.
And I am going to have videos of
you'll have a demo. It's really hard to explain without doing it.
What they're doing. So so I know that when you start, you want to get into the kip, and then if you do get the kip down, you could get into the butterfly, and the butterfly is the most efficient.
Yeah, for a workout style for sure, but it's not for everybody. I think if you want to be a competitive CrossFitter, the butterfly is something you want to learn. For most everyday Joes, people that just want to be fit and want to be able to lift their grandkids up, probably not in the need. You don't need it.
You don't need a butterfly.
It definitely it matters for what the clientele looks like, what the person wants to do, and what their goals are. I think that's very much, we talked about case by case basis stuff.
So you were a coach, and I know at Forever CrossFit, and I didn't let you guys know, but that's how I know Rick, because I went to the Watertown gym and he was the coach there at Forever CrossFit. He was actually very, very, very good. I loved it. It was a good time. But you weren't just the coach, you set up the workout program.
Yep, so we did the program week by week. For sure.
I know. So explain to me, because it does seem like a very, very difficult thing. And I would walk into the gym and be like, oh, Jesus, Rick is trying to kill us. Because the program itself is just very difficult. And you have to set up a program that will work for someone who's, training super, super hard and they want to compete, and for the regular,
yep,
I just want to pick up my grandkids.
Yep, and that is a big challenge. I spent a lot of time thinking about that before I even put pen to paper to get it going. But the program should be written such that you're doing long workouts, short workouts, light, heavy, weightlifting, running, like a whole mix. I kind of see it. I think CrossFit is sort of organized chaos. Like, it looks like there's a lot going on,
yes,
but really there's a lot of thought going into it in terms of time domain, the movement types, and like, you don't want to do push-ups 5 days in a row, but you might do something that's a shoulder day here, a leg day here, not in the classic bodybuilding sense, but just with like a focal point on certain, muscle groups, let's say.
Yeah.
But I think the main, to your question about how you scale for like, the D1 football player or the grandmother,
exactly,
they can be in the same class doing the same workout, but the modifications can be pretty infinite, whereas the football player might be doing a 400-pound deadlift and 400-pound bench press. The grandmother might do the same exact workout just with an empty barbell.
Exactly.
And their stimulus would be equally good if that's kind of what they needed. So it varies quite a bit. But in the same class, everyone's ultimately rooting for each other.
Exactly. And they really are. And you do go into a class and you do see literally that difference. You see people who have no barbell. Sometimes you see people with like a PVC pipe if they have an injury or something. And then you do see the same person in the same class doing the same workout with the 350, 400 pounds on the barbell. It's I love it. You see everyone, the entire spectrum. But when you do set up these workouts, I'm a nurse. Mm-hmm. And a big concern people have, and I don't know what the research says or the studies say, but Olympic lifts, a lot of people say Olympic lifts should not be done with many repetitions.
Yeah, I think that is a big kind of like butting heads point between the Olympic lifting community and the CrossFit community.
Yes.
I think it's just about like the need for what they're doing. So if you're lifting for the Olympics, they're trying to lift the heaviest possible thing one time.
Oh, yes.
And that's their goal, and that's what they do. That's why they get a gold medal if they do it. For us, we're using it partially for that, for a strength building or speed building or your range of motion. But there's also the component of conditioning, and you can do anything fast. I can write really fast, I can run really fast, you can do power cleans fast, but the weight of which I do that will be nowhere near what the Olympic guys are doing for one rep. So it's just kind of what you're doing.
It definitely is. Obviously, if you're doing something wrong, it doesn't matter if you're doing it fast, it doesn't matter if you're doing it slow, it doesn't matter if you're doing 10, if it doesn't matter if you're doing 100 reps. If you're doing it wrong, you're gonna hurt yourself, right?
Unless you have just an incredible genetic set where you're just invincible, like LeBron James. But I think most people, if you're doing it wrong, the prescriptions typically, and you'll see this anywhere on the internet, it's mechanics first, then consistency, then intensity. Mm-hmm. So any coach is going to look for someone to have their foundation super, super solid before they add that intensity to it. So if I'm doing something with a new person, I don't want them to go as fast as they can doing Olympic lifts, for example here. I want them to do a couple slow, make sure it looks good with a lightweight, and then we kind of start adding that in once they show they can do it.
And I think that's definitely the way you should do it. Yeah. One thing I absolutely love about CrossFit is it was the first group exercise program in general that stresses so much, which sometimes I hate, but at the end of the day I love, but it stresses so much on stretching and mobility. Oh my God. The first time I started CrossFit, it was like these weird, really, really weird out of this world stretches, made you feel better at the end of the day, but I never seen it in any other group exercise.
I think CrossFit tends to steal like the best things from lots of places. Like we steal gymnastics, we steal powerlifting, steal Olympic lifting, and at kind of the same mobility, they steal like the best stretches from yoga, the best like mobility or soft tissue work from massage therapists. Like we take all the different things and kind of just use, I guess, like the best little ones that we can kind of make work. But it's really important to prep your body. The example I like is your muscles are like Play-Doh. And if you take Play-Doh out of the fridge and try to move it, it's going to break.
Yes.
If you warm it up a little bit and kind of get it mashed out, it stretches, it moves better. So
and I mean, when you setting up your workouts, when you're setting up your workout program for the class, for the gym, do you always have to set up the stretching, or do you leave that up to whoever the coach is?
Typically leave it up to the coach unless it's something I really want them to hit on.
Yes.
But in general, we do like a general warm-up and then a more specific warm-up to what the movement of that day might be. And they say like the best way to warm up for a squat is to squat, but there's certainly some prep work you can do for the muscles that are going to get
loose and whatever the whole thing.
Sure.
So let's talk about you now.
Sure.
What are your CrossFit goals? Because we did mention that there's all of these things, and there's CrossFit Games, and it's on ESPN. Do you personally want to compete or a competitor?
I would say as of now, no, but that's definitely gone through some ebbs and flows. When I first started, it was like, at that time I was substituting the CrossFit class for like going to baseball practice or going to whatever sport I was used to going to. So everything was a competition. I had to be the best, I had to be the fastest, fittest, whatever. And that was great, and like I liked competing in some of the local competitions here and there. And as it's gone by, I think just with my time and life and stress and whatever else is going on, I'd use it now more for like stress relief, for fun, to stay fit and stay active. I don't really use it as a competitive outlet anymore, but that definitely took some kind of down ramp time to do.
Because the thing is, being a CrossFit athlete is like being any other kind of athlete. It's not like, it's very, very difficult. You have to dedicate your life to it.
It's changed a lot now too, because when it was early on, everyone was like thinking they can go to the games, and like that's the way it was. Or I think you could walk up to sectionals in 2009 and just like sign your name and you could just go.
That's crazy.
Now it's like out of hundreds of thousands of people, and the people that go are total cyborgs.
It really are.
And it's their job. I think the whole landscape just changed, as with anything.
Are you signed up for the Open?
Yes.
Good for you. Congratulations. So yes, you are the coach. You are coach all of these beginner CrossFitters. You don't compete though, right? What I do really appreciate, and it's just easier to have a coach, to have someone teach you something while they do it. How much of that do you take as a responsibility? Like, I should know how to do a muscle up. I should know how to do a handstand.
Yeah,
all those things.
I think there's definitely something to being able to demo what you're trying to teach people, but I think a lot of those super high level movements you can do and you can try to teach, but like ultimately I don't care if I have 10 muscle ups in a few years. Like, it's not that big a deal to me.
Yes.
But there's definitely people that want to learn it, so I focus on learning the progressions to know how to teach the progressions. Whether I can do every single high level thing perfectly might not be entirely realistic, but if I can do it, great.
Yes. So you don't, it's not like a thing that you have to know how to do.
I'm the first to raise my hand and say like, yeah, I can't do this thing, or no, I'll teach it, I'll help you guys, but if I can't do something, I will never say like, oh yeah, I'm never gonna fake it till I make it. I know what I can do, I know what I can't.
And then so CrossFit is supposed to be this world, like all type of functional movement, right? And I do remember at Forever CrossFit, there was a few times that you had these stadium stairs. You did the stairs at Harvard, I think.
Yeah, that was like it was almost like a field trip. We'd go there, like either at the I don't know, if the gym was closed or it was an off day, or if people just wanted to get outside because it was sunny, we'd go do the Harvard stairs bright and early in the morning. That was brutal.
Is there anything that you wished you had more access to? Because I've like swimming or bikes or any of that stuff. Is there anything you wish you could do with your classes that weren't?
Swimming would be super fun, definitely. I never really thought about it till just now. There's not a lot that I think we need. I would be nice, since we're in New England and it snows and it gets icy and stuff.
Yeah.
I wish we had almost like a makeshift treadmill sometimes where we could run in winter, because I often end up taking like 3-month breaks from running, and then I go to run like March 1st. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing?
That's not fair for you to say, because I do remember as soon as it would be runnable, it would be 5K.
We were
no more 5Ks. We don't like 5Ks. We don't like 5Ks. But your favorite movement and your favorite workout, what?
Oh man. Favorite movement? I'm kind of a sucker for this super simple stuff. I like push-ups, I like rowing, I like deadlifts, like kind of I'm a meat and potatoes guy, so the really showy stuff doesn't really do much for me. The basics are where it's at.
You like the basics?
Yeah.
Oh, what about the burpee?
Love-hate relationship.
Oh, Jesus Lord. Okay, what's your favorite workout? Do you have a favorite workout?
Not sure. I really like the hero workouts typically. Yes. I like Murph. I like the kind of the basic ones like that everyone knows. But I don't know if I have one exact favorite. I have some that I like more than others, but typically anything with running I tend to dislike. Anything with some sort of element of lifting, or I don't know. I like box jumps, I like jumping.
Okay. And when you make your workouts, when you make the program, do you make the workouts? Is it like your made workout, or do you take from the CrossFit website?
It's a mix. There are some like the classic ones, like I'll mix in of like, like it would be good to do Fran on Monday. That fits in well with the rest of the week. But I think you always have to look kind of 2 days ahead and 2 days behind of what else we were doing to make sure you don't want to just make someone do the same thing over and over again. So there's always kind of differences coming up.
And then least favorites. I like the least favorites.
Least favorite. I'll say if it's just one, I'd say running. I just like running the most.
Just running in general, any type of running.
I like sprinting in sports, like if it's basketball, football, but I feel like in CrossFit, running is always my absolute downfall. It always kicks my butt.
Even the beep test, we did that quite a bit.
Oh no, that's the worst.
That's the worst?
I hate that.
That's the worst. Yeah, no, I don't mind running, even the 400 in CrossFit, because unless it's a workout where it's like 1 400 and then like as many deadlifts as possible, if it's like, as many rounds as possible, or 5 rounds of whatever, and there's a 400 in it, I'm good. Anything over a 400, that's when I'm like, no.
Yeah, 400 or less, I'll deal. 400 or over, I break down for sure.
It's too much, and then it just ruins my whole workout because I don't. Anyways, advice, and I really like to do this because you're a coach and you've been a coach. How long have you been a coach for?
So this is year 6 coaching. So I did 5 years at Forever CrossFit. Now I do some at CrossFit Watch City, and so 6 years of coaching. So
6 years of coaching. I want you first to give advice not to the athletes but to other coaches. What advice do you have to other beginner coaches or people who want to become CrossFit coaches?
So I've thought about this a lot actually, and when I first did my certification to do coaching, we were lucky enough to have Greg Glassman there, and I asked him the same question. I was like, what is the one piece of advice you would give a new coach?
Yes.
And he said to give a shit. And I was like, can I curse? Is that okay?
Of course.
So, definitely. And I thought that was interesting because I thought it would be like some really technical thing or something that's like very specific to fitness or whatever it may be. And as all these years have gone by, that remains the next advice I'd pass on to someone beneath me, is that you just have to care, you have to give a shit, because you can't really teach that. Someone just has to care.
You have to. Yeah, you're right, because you can't teach caring.
It's really hard.
And you can't like put that on someone.
No.
But like I haven't seen coaches that don't, right? Like it's hard to find a coach.
I think it's almost a prerequisite to do the job anyhow, like unless someone wants to do it just for money or for fame, whatever it may be. But like, most people that want to work with athletes want to teach, they want to help, they want to be part of it. And beneath that typically is like you have to care on some level. How much they do, that's variable, I guess. But
and then so how do you deal with the athletes that come to your gym? And I know there's a lot of CrossFitters who go to a CrossFit gym but just don't do any of the programming, right? And they want very personalized. Do you care for not care, but do you tend to those needs?
It depends on the goals. If someone wants to like break 3 hours running the Boston Marathon, like they could do CrossFit for sure to supplement, but they might need more specific running training, so we could work with them on that.
Yeah.
If someone wants to win Massachusetts sectionals for powerlifting, again, you could do CrossFit as part of it, but you probably need to ramp up the powerlifting. So it depends on what someone wants to do. If they just want to play sports, like play, company softball and basketball on the weekends, I think CrossFit's the perfect training
really
program
is.
just to do. It's an hour a day. It's not a huge commitment of time, but you'll stay fit.
Yeah. Rick, do you see yourself doing CrossFit through and through? All the way?
I think the version of CrossFit that I do will change as time goes by. And like I said, I'm a sucker for the basics. So as time goes by, I pare down like more and more of the super complex movements that either leave me sore. I'm getting older. Like some of the things that leave me like in shambles, I'll do less of that and more of the simpler stuff. But I could do it till I'm 70, 80, whatever it may be, just whatever version makes sense for me.
And that's a great thing about CrossFit because you can. And like you said, it's just the scaling.
Yeah,
and modify it to whatever.
And some of my like biggest heroes are the people that show up at 5 a.m. at 60 years of age that are still doing this, and I'm like, you're amazing. Like it is incredible.
You truly are. You truly are.
Yep.
So you at the gym, you did various times. Do you have a favorite time?
I do. I like the 5:30 a.m. group.
Okay.
And the reasoning is because people who show up at 5 a.m. to do burpees rarely complain about anything else. Typically their attitude is like, all right, I'm already here, let's go.
So you coach CrossFit at 5:30 a.m. and then you go to work?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing. It's rough. But do you make sure that you work out 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week?
It's less. I probably do more like 3 or 4 than 5 or 6 now, but that's just because of life schedule demands. But I have like some equipment at home, so if I get home late at night and I can't make it to the gym or it doesn't jive with the class time, I have no problem doing a workout, solo and just kind of getting it done.
Awesome. Do you have any books, videos, anything that you want people to know that would give them a better understanding of CrossFit? Or are you a big believer on you should just do it?
It's 2 parts. If you want like the background, the Glassman article of just what is CrossFit, it's like a 3-page thing. It's not too much of a crazy reading. That's a really good starting point.
Yes.
But besides that, I think they've always said like CrossFit's pretty experiential. Like imagine trying to explain to a vegetarian like what a steak tastes like. You just you can do it.
Forget about it.
You have to kind of come in and do the thing. And you could do it at, like I said, the very most beginner level and have the coach kind of walk you through the basics.
Yeah.
But until you've done it, I think it's hard to totally grasp it.
Well, Rick, I truly do appreciate you coming through, and
Thanks for having me.
And like I say to everyone out there who doesn't do CrossFit, who is thinking about doing CrossFit, you really should do it. The results have been so positive for me, and not just I look better, I feel better, but the friends you make, the bonds you make. It's just been a great experience.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
And best of luck to you.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light